Have you been holding off buying a home because home prices kept getting higher and higher? Were you ready to buy a home, but then rising interest rates stopped you cold? If you hold off buying a home now, what will the market be if you wait a year? We're going to go over all of these issues right now. By the way, be sure to stay to the end of this video and I'll go over the 5 most important tips in buying a home. First off, what is a first-time home buyer? The technical definition of a first-time home buyer is somebody who hasn't owned a home, a principal residence, for the past 3 years. This matters because there are a lot of special programs out there in which first-time home buyers can participate. So if you've owned homes in the past, you can still qualify as a first-time home buyer if you haven't owned a home in the past 3 years. What type of home will best suit your needs? You know, I often hear people say that they want to buy a home that they plan to stay in forever, but this is really rarely true. It's actually counterproductive for you to think that way, unless you're nearing retirement age. The reason it's counterproductive is that because you have that goal, you will almost always not be able to find that home at the price you actually want to pay today. For example, if your dream home is to be in an upscale neighborhood, you'll be paying upscale prices for that home today. If your dream is to find a home in which you can build a huge 50 by 100 foot detached garage, you're going to need a very large lot. And unless you plan on living far away from a major population center, it'll be hard to find that property at a good price today. In many cases, your definition of your dream home will change after a few years. You may get tired of stairs and want a rambler, or you may get tired of taking care of a big yard. If you plan to have kids, they may require a different school district when they get into sports or other activities. The other factor I see is that jobs change, and that 10-minute commute becomes an hour-long commute when you take your new job. So what do I usually recommend for a first-time home buyer? Well, this is the process I usually recommend for first-time home buyers. Number 1, figure out what you can afford while factoring in life changes such as travel, kids, promotions, hobbies, and investments. While you don't want to be house poor, you do need a house. Number 2, you can almost always buy a house for close to the same amount as you can rent a home, especially in today's hot rental market, so factor that into your budget. You may not be able to live next door to your job with your own home versus a rental, but there are plenty of reasons it's better to own a home versus renting. 3, talk to a good lender who works with first-time homebuyers. There are several really good first-time homebuyer programs out there, and many of them have reduced or zero down payment requirements. If you're a veteran, school teacher, or first responder, there's some additional programs that you may qualify for. Remember, you don't want to fall in love with a Mercedes-Benz if you can only qualify to buy a used Chevy. Once you get the price of the home you qualify for, that is the time to start looking on the internet. Number 4, set your sights on a starter home that will resell easily when you decide to move to your next home in 5 to 10 years. Get a home now that will resell quickly when it's time. Make sure it's in a good location, not way out in the boonies, and it should be a home that has at least 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. You can always sell a 2-bedroom home, but it'll be much easier to sell a 3 or 4-bedroom home. You may even decide to become a landlord someday and keep your first home while buying a bigger home as your second. If you're in a good location and have at least a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, it should be easy to rent it in the future. Let's look at townhomes versus single-family residence. Okay, if you can afford it, it's almost always better to buy a single-family home versus a townhome. One reason is that they're always building new townhomes just down the street. And when it's time to sell your townhome, you will be competing with brand new townhomes at close to the same price as your home. Because of that, townhomes in general do not really appreciate as much as a single-family home. Another reason is that you must factor in your monthly HOA payment, and that will affect your purchase price. For example, if you qualify for a $350,000 home, single-family home, you may only qualify for a $325,000 townhome if the monthly HOA fee is factored in. Most single-family homes do not have a monthly HOA fee. If they do, it's usually something minor like $25, $35 a month to take care of the local park or playground. Now, having said all that, you may not be able to afford a single-family home anywhere near where you want to live. In that case, it is better to buy a townhome today and sell it in a few years than to continue renting, because that rental payment is just going down the drain. And chances are that single-family home that you want today will be even more expensive in a few years. With townhomes, just factor in that you won't be getting a ton of appreciation, if any, but you will have a great place to live, lots of neighbors, and very little yard work. You'll also have time to decide where you really want to buy that second home. You may change your job or things like that. So 3 to 5 years, it's a good place to stay for 3 to 5 years. Let's talk about existing homes versus new construction. You know, building a home with a builder is always really exciting, and it's fun to pick all your colors, cabinets, and things like that. On top of that, many builders will have special incentives with financing that will help you get into their home at a very attractive rate. These are usually short-term rates, however, and you will have to refinance in a few years. There are a few cautions I want to toss out in building a new home from scratch. In an economy in which the interest rates are rapidly changing, it is a bit of a risk to lock yourself into a new build job in which you don't know the final price or interest rate. Brand new builds usually take 6 to 8 months to complete, and you can't expect a lender to guarantee what the interest rate will be, sometimes even the price, in 8 months. Number 2, what you think you want today may not be what you want tomorrow, especially if you haven't owned a home before. Builders usually cannot make changes in your house at the last moment. They have to order the material and schedule the completion of the work. So if you change your cabinets, that might mess up a whole completion schedule for several homes. Number 3, just as in buying a new car, you may not get the appreciation on a home that you expect. If you're in phase 1 of a subdivision, you will be competing with brand new build jobs in phase 4 when you go to sell your home in 3 years. Ask me how I know. I built a home in Virginia outside Washington, D.C. in phase 1 and had to sell it due to a job transfer when phase 3 was selling. Most buyers preferred buying a brand new home to buying my old 3-year-old home. Number 4, and this is a big one, whatever price you were quoted for your new build home will probably increase 10 to 50K by the time you add on all the little items such as upgraded carpet, countertops, paint, and other finish items. Just assume it. 1,000 here, 1,000 there adds up. Number 5, if you can find what builders call a spec home, that is pretty safe. You get a brand new home and you know exactly what price and interest rate you will get when the house is done. As the home will be ready in 30 to 60 days, you won't be able to add a ton of items to the house and will not be caught spending more than you wanted. Use a good realtor to help you. You don't pay anything to have your own buyer agent realtor, so use one. Your realtor will have a good understanding of the best places to live per your requirements and will be knowledgeable of commute times, weather, snow levels, schools, and many other factors you should consider. Your realtor will also help you know the intangibles such as resale value, future highways, and tracks locations. So here are 5 tips in buying your first home. Number 1, decide the type of home you want and several areas you're willing to live in. Number 2, get a good realtor and a good loan officer. Your realtor should know a couple of loan officers. Number 3, assume you'll be selling the starter home in a few years. Don't overbuy. Number 4, don't overly fret about the interest rate. Most people will refinance in a few years. Today's interest rate is not a lifetime decision. Number 5, enjoy your first home and write down all the things you've learned and want in your second home. Well, thanks everybody. If I can help you in any way, please call or text me below. Thanks.